Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kim, and today we are going to finally talk about my June reading wrap up. I am really behind with this. It is almost the end of July, and I am just now filming this. And I'm not gonna lie, because it's been so long since I've read some of these books, and I've read so many books since then. I think we're gonna try to keep this short and sweet today. I'm gonna, tell you the books I read. I'm gonna give you my star rating. I'll tell you a little bit about it. I mean, ultimately, that's what I always try to do with these wrap-ups, because I keep them spoiler-free, just FYI, unless I do give out tropes sometimes, so I know some people consider those spoilers, so if you do, you might not want to watch this. But yeah, so I keep these spoiler free, which does make it kind of hard to talk about books sometimes when you're trying to not really talk about, to talk about them, and give you guys enough information to maybe intrigue you to read them, and then also tell you how I feel about them, without spoiling anything. It's a challenge, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I feel like I don't do a good job about it don't do a good job with it. But yeah, so we're gonna try to keep it short with each one today. I'm also not giving a spice rating today, and I might just take that off. I think I'm gonna take that off the table until I sit down and really define a spice rating, what I feel like a spice rating, my spice rating is, because I've just seen people I've seen spice ratings very varied. Some people some people feel one chili pepper is kissing and stuff like that, and to me, I don't know, that's not one chili pepper. To me, I feel even one chili pepper will probably just have one spice scene in it. I don't know. I feel if it's just kissing and stuff like that, that's no spice, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm definitely not gonna do spice rating today, because when I was looking back at the books that I read, I was just kind of I don't remember. Obviously they all have spice. I will say that everything I read, almost everything, yeah, pretty much everything I read has some level of spice. Obviously some are more than others, and I think if I do read things, every now and again I'll read a YA fantasy book or something like that that doesn't have spice, or in my opinion what I consider spice, I'll usually say that. So I think just it's just safe to assume that if I don't say it doesn't, it's gonna, okay, because pretty much everything I read does. And yeah, I was looking at some of these and I was I can't even remember, was there a lot of spice in that book? Was there just a 1 or 2? So I just feel my spice scales, especially for this month, would be have no meaning. Because I also have been horrible about filling out my book journal, so I'm not even keeping up to remind myself what these books are. I mean, I've just not been doing the best lately with keeping up with that kind of stuff. Again, I'm already yapping. I was just telling you guys that I'm going to keep it short and sweet today, and I've been yapping about spice. We're going to be talking about the books I read in June. I read 13 books in the month of June. But before I actually get into the books I read in June, I realized when I was editing my May wrap-up video that I completely forgot a book. And I think it's because when I was scrolling through my Goodreads, I saw the cover and I thought it was a reread, because I did reread Reckless by Elsie Silver last month. And I just, in my mind, was oh yeah, that's a reread. But no, I forgot. So I want to talk about that real quick. I forgot that I read Hopeless last month by Elsie Silver, which is the last book in the Chestnut Springs series. And I didn't talk about it. Because yeah, I forgot. So I wanted to talk about that real quick. So I did read this in May. I gave this 3 stars. I will say this is my least favorite book of the Chestnut Springs series. I don't know. So we have Beau and Bailey in this book, and Beau is ex-military. He was injured, so he's he's not in the military anymore. He has he's dealing with PTSD in this book and stuff like that. And Bailey is the young, so there's an age gap in this. Elsie loves her age gaps. And then Bailey is the neighbor girl, like, and then like the Eatons don't get along with her family. Like her family are, they're like trashy people. They're like, yeah, they don't get along with them, but like she's not like her family. And like she works at the bar that Bo goes to, or, and like you see them, like it, like they both make appearances. Well, obviously Bo's in the other books, but she also makes appearances throughout the other books when they go to the Rail Spur. I think it's the name of the bar. She's bartender there. I think part of like, I don't know. I kind of felt like Bo in the other books was giving me different vibes, and I thought I was gonna like really like Bo, and maybe he was gonna be one of my favorites. It kind of felt like Elsie, I don't know, like maybe when she started this series, she didn't really know what she was gonna do with Bo, and I feel like he felt very different in this book than like the little glimpses we get of him in the other books. And I get it, I understand, like something happened where like the event happened, like that an event happened that kind of like maybe was what you're to believe did change him, but I don't know, it just didn't feel, I don't know, it just felt, it felt more of, it didn't feel more natural to his story. It felt more like she just wanted to change it to like, you know, to match the narrative she wanted to do in this book. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, I also didn't love Bailey. I think she's definitely my least favorite of the women in the series. She's just kind of like got a chip on her shoulder. I think, like, I know I've said it here before, like, age gaps aren't, like, my favorite, and I think a lot of times it's because, like, sometimes I just don't understand the choice by the author to make them an age gap, except just, I don't know, just to have it, because it's like, they make a character younger, most of the time it's the female, if it's a, you know, if it's, like, a male-female story, and it's like, she's younger, right? But like, she's always super mature for her age. So it's like, part of me is just like, then why don't you just make her older? Like, unless it has some, like, a plot. Like, I get sometimes there's, it like, is part of the plot. Like, I read, like, Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas a few months ago, and that's a huge age gap. And it's like, but it's like added to, it's like part of the plot, because it's like his son's girlfriend. So it's like, it kind of makes, it makes more sense to me in that, but like in books like this, I just like don't get it. It's like, you're already gonna make her more, and like you make her more mature because you give her like this backstory, like, oh, and like you're supposed to be like, okay, I get why she's like more mature for her age, but I'm just like, just age her up a little bit. Just age her up. Like, I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, I didn't like love Bailey either. Like I said, I mean, it was fine. I gave it 3 stars. It's not like it was a bad book or horrible or anything. I just didn't really, like, I guess, connect to these characters. Maybe you might. I don't know. I also just thought it was a little weird how she dealt with his PTSD. Like, I won't go into details, but I kind of just like, okay, I don't know. If you've read it, I'm pretty sure you probably know. I don't know. Maybe it was just a me thing. But yeah, so I just wanted to talk about this because I did forget about talking about it in my last wrap up. I still highly recommend the whole Chestnut Springs series. I mean, I can't not recommend it. It has my favorite, one of my most favorite romance books of all time. Reckless is part of it. And for the most part, I really like all of the books. Like I said, this was my least favorite, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't like it was a bad read. It was just wasn't as enjoyable for me as the others. So yeah, I wanted to just talk about that. Okay, now let's get into the books that I read in June. And if you watched my May wrap up, I ended that one talking about half of the Game Changer series because I started it in May. So now I get to talk to you guys about the last half of the Game Changer series, which has two of my top books in that series. Well, Heated Rivalry is like top, I don't know. They're very close. Anyways, so the first book I read in May was Common Goal, which is the 4th book in the Game Changer series. So in this, we have Eric and I always want to say Kip, but it's not. Kip is the guy in the first book. This is Eric and Kyle. Kyle is like Kip's friend. So I think, I don't know, both K names, and I associate them with each other, I guess. So Kyle and Eric. So Eric is a professional goalie, but he's like at the end of his career. He is like somewhat recently divorced, and he's like just kind of like contemplating like life after, you know, his professional hockey career, and part of that is contemplating his sexuality, and he meets Kyle, who is much younger. This is another age gap. I talk about how I don't like age gaps, but I don't know, I just tend to read them a lot. I think it's because a lot of times, like when you're reading these like romance series, one of them usually at least is an age gap. And you know, once I'm committed to a series, especially if I'm really liking it, I'm gonna read them all. So I just read those age gaps. You know, sometimes they bother me more than others. I think these ones like this aren't like, and like even Hopeless, it's like they're both like of age, and they're like young 20s and then like 30s or whatever, so it's like it doesn't bother me as much. I do still think, I guess because like it's weird for me personally, but like I get it, people date and they have age gaps, and age, you know, it's, you know, they're all both consenting adults, so that's the most important part, right? But anyways, so yeah, so Kyle's younger, he's like openly gay, and like I said, Eric is like wanting to explore his sexuality. Kyle's been like he's like always, he's usually attracted to older men, but he's like been burned by older men before, so he's like telling himself like no more older men, but like no more dating older men. But like he meets Eric, and like they kind of like decide, like they kind of agree to do like a friends with benefits situation, so like Kyle can like kind of help Eric like explore his sexuality basically. And like, yeah, that's pretty much our premise with this book. I really enjoyed like their chemistry. I enjoyed how like Kyle kind of brings Eric a little bit like out of his shell, because he's like a very more like reserved character, like gets him to like loosen up a bit and stuff like that. But yeah, I did enjoy this one. I will say it's probably like my fourth favorite of the 6-book series, so it's like right there in the middle. Not bad by any means. I didn't even say what I gave this. I gave this 4 stars. Yeah, I know I was raving about the Game Changer series in my main wrap up. I'll still rave about it. I'll rave about it forever, because like not every, it's funny, like Chestnut Springs, the Chestnut Springs series is like similar like this to me. Like not every one of the books is like a 5-star favorite, but there's such good books within the series, and I do always just feel like reading these whole series together, because you get like tidbits of the couples, like characters from the other books, even if they're not, that's not like their book, you know what I mean? Like this, like the Game Changer, I number one favorite, Ilya, from Heated Rivalry. I love him so much, but he makes appearances in all the books of this series, so it's like the series is like worth it to read just to get the tidbits of him and everyone else's book, because I don't know, I love that man so much. But anyways, yeah, I will like still like recommend, I just need like I need more people to read this. I don't know, read the whole series, because I love it so much, and I feel like other people need to read it. I continued on with that series, and the next book I read was Role Model. These are all by Rachel Reed, by the way. I don't think I said that. This book, 5 stars. I loved this one. Okay, besides, okay, so I think I've talked about it. The 2nd and the 6th book in the series are about the same couple. That's Ilya and Shane, and I love their story so much, but like Troy and Harris story, I don't know, like some days I'm like, this is my favorite, like they're my favorite, but I think like Ilya is my favorite, like Ilya alone is my favorite, so that's why like I just say like Ilya and Shane are my favorite. But I don't know, I think maybe as a couple, Troy and Harris might be my favorite couple, because it's not that I don't like Shane, but there's just something about these guys that I loved so much, and I don't know. Again, this book, I loved Troy and Harris, but this book also has a lot of Ilya in it too. So I don't know. That might be partly why I'm influenced that I like it more. But no, I really do think it's just, I mean, it helps, right? Like he's in it and I love him. But like, I think I always just kind of like kind of a reformed, I like the trope of like kind of a reformed like bad boy or just like a reformed like guy. Like, and Troy is kind of like that. This is like a very classic grump sunshine. Troy is our grump. Harris is our just little ray of sunshine in this book. Troy gets traded to, so Troy is like a top NFL. Sorry, NFL's on my mind. I'm so excited for the NFL season. Anyways, the NHL star, and he's like on one of the top teams, right? But he gets like in a fight with another top player on his team, and he gets traded to the Ottawa Centaurs, which is like the worst team, or arguably one of the worst teams in the NHL. And that's where he meets Harris. Harris is like the social media like manager of the team. He is very open and out and proud, and he is just like, I don't know, he's so sweet. He's just such a little ray of sunshine in this book, and that's why I loved him so much. And then Troy is very like standoffish, but like Harris is just like, nope, I'm a people person, and he just like doesn't let Troy be standoffish. Like he keeps reaching out, right? Like he wants to connect with him, and he might be developing a crush that, you know, he feels probably will never be reciprocated. Yeah, I just loved reading about, you know, how just their relationship blossomed. Yeah, and I just love these two characters so much. Again, there's a lot of Ilya in this book, so it helped, like, it you know, it's just like little extras, you know, a little extra Ilya sprinkled in, which also made me love the book because he kind of befriends Troy. But yeah, this is like, part of me like just kind of like lumps Heat of Rivalry and The Long Game together because they're both about Shane and Ilya, and then like I would say this is book my next, I guess technically it would be my third favorite, but then I don't know, it might be my second favorite. I don't know, they're very, very, very close. I don't even know if I can rank it, to be honest. It's hard like to rank the top three of the series for me, which is Heat of Rivalry, this one, and The Long Game, which I'm talking about next. Like, they're so close that I don't know, it's hard. Some days one might be the favorite of other days, but I loved this one. And again, continuing talking about it, the last book in the series is The Long Game. I also gave this 5 stars. So like in Heat of Rivalry, we meet Shane and Ilya, and we basically read through like 10 years of them like coming up in the NHL, and like how their rivalry is like, you know, portrayed in the media and everything, and then like how their relationship develops, and obviously they keep it secret. In the beginning of The Long Game, their relationship is still secret, but they are, you know, together, and basically you just get to see like their current relationship and how they're dealing with still like having to keep it a secret. Shane is very much more cautious about it. He's really worried, like, if their relationship becomes public, what it will do to their careers. And Ilya, like, is also worried about that, but he's just kind of also he's just over the, you know, like, the secrets, and he wants to just like kind of like live his life authentically. This book, I feel like, is very much Ilya's book. It's their book together, but like this journey you go through with him, where in him dealing with like his personal stuff, and I don't know, I loved him in Heat of Rivalry, but I fell in love with him even more in this book. He's just, I don't know, he's like perfection, you guys. I can't get over, like, he's literally perfection in a book boyfriend. Just read this series, please. It's so good. It's just full of just such sweet moments and hard moments and like heart-wrenching moments. Like, but it's so beautiful. It's Rachel Reed's writing is really beautiful. I don't know. She made me like love a series that's written in third person, and I don't really love reading third person, but she did it because, like, again, her writing is just so beautiful. I can't recommend this series enough. Again, like I said, yeah, just go out and read it. Love this. Okay, we did a lot of queer sports romances this month. Queer books in general, to be honest with you, but sports romances, because the next book I read was The Prospects by Katie Hoffman. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I really did enjoy this book. Also, look at this. Awesome. This is a Afterlight edition of the book, and I love it. So this is a baseball romance, as you can probably tell by the baseballs on the sprayed edges. And here we follow, this is about Jean and Lewis. Jean is like the first openly trans man baseball player, and he plays for like a minor league team. It's a made up team. It's like, I think it's the Beaverton Beavers in Oregon. And he's like just like very happy with playing there. Like, obviously he would love to make it to the major leagues, but I just feel like he's a character that just doesn't know how to, and maybe is afraid to actually like want bigger things for himself. But yeah, so he is playing on this team, and then his old college teammate is like traded onto his team, Lewis. And him and Lewis used to be like good friends in college. This was prior to Jean coming out. Yeah, they were like really good friends when they were on the college team together, and Jean had feelings for Lewis back then. When they left college, they like didn't keep in touch, because Lewis got like picked up and like kind of just like left, right? Like he got picked up for the majors. But now Lewis is like playing in the minor leagues too, so he gets traded to the Beaverton Beavers. And there's like some tension there because Jean is like very unsure on Lewis's feelings and everything like that. So it kind of starts out as I hate saying enemies because they're not enemies, but just like kind of just there's some tension there. There's like Lewis is very like standoffish. He doesn't really like talk much to Jean and stuff like that. And that kind of leads to them like not playing well together on the field. And like because there's just like this tension and stuff between them, they're like chemistry on the field is just not doing well. So then they like start doing like extra training sessions together, and tensions start to subside or I guess maybe like certain tension turns into other tension. And yeah, I don't know. I just thought this was, I don't know, I just really liked this book. I really appreciated like Jean's journey through it, and accepting that it's okay to want like more than like you think you deserve, I guess, or that like the world tells you maybe that you're supposed to deserve, like, have. It's good to, it's okay to want more. But yeah, I just thought that their relationship is just really sweet. I actually liked too, like I read a lot of sports romances, and I am a big football girl, and I do enjoy other sports, but like I'm mainly football. But like I've read sports romances where like there's like barely any sport, right? it's like a basically, it's their job, but they don't really like, you're not reading a lot about like the games or whatever in the book. And then I've read some where it's a little bit more prominent. I liked like the balance of this book about like with the romance, but just also like the growth and the personal journeys within the characters with being, baseball players and stuff like that. But yeah, I really liked this one. I would highly recommend it. We went away from sports romances for a little bit, and I read Leave Me Behind by K.M. Moronova. So I gave this book, what did I give this book? I don't know. Let me tell you. Let me look at my book over in my journal over here. Okay, I gave this book 3.5 stars. I do remember this. I know I wasn't going to talk about this, but I do remember this being pretty spicy. This is a dark military romance. We follow Nell and Bradshaw in this. They're like basically like they're like members of like a underground kind of like military, you know, team. Like Nell is like the sole survivor of like like there's like a network of like these like underground, like I don't know if you call it, what would you call it, underground, like dark forces, like military, and like Nell is like the survivor, only like the sole survivor of the one she came from, so she gets like transferred to the unit, I guess you want to call it, that Bradshaw's in, but like that unit like hates people from her unit, so like she's having like a tough time like being accepted by these new guys. But yeah, like and like they basically blame her for a death from their squad. Yeah, I don't know. And like her new partner, like her new number two, already hates her, which is Bradshaw, obviously. Like he hates her from the get-go because they like blame her for this death. I think this is a good book. I enjoyed reading it. It was very, so just like a very darker themes, very much like enemies to lovers for sure. The ending kind of just went away. I was surprised. Like I didn't think it was like gonna go that way. So that was refreshing, I guess, to read something that like didn't go exactly how I thought it was gonna go. But yeah, I think I would recommend it. I think if you want like a good, if you're into like the dark romance, I say give it a try. She has, I think she has like a fantasy book coming out, and I am curious about that. I think I am going to give her other books a try. Like I said, it's not going to be one of my top favorite books ever, but I did enjoy it. I would recommend it if you're like, especially if you're into that dark romance genre. I think it's well written. It's dual POV, which I don't know if you guys do, but I love a dual POV. But yeah, you know, tortured soul basically from our characters. Yeah, I would recommend. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I had a good time reading it. I don't know, good time. Sometimes I feel weird about saying I had a good time reading something if it's like was like a darker book. Does that sound weird? But yeah, I don't know. Okay, so the next book I read, we went back to, I guess, like a I don't know. Would you consider ballet a sport? I don't know. Sport, romance, dance. I think dance is a sport, right? I read Limerence by Scarlett Drake. I gave this book 5 stars. I was introduced to Scarlett Drake by Allie Reads on Instagram, and thank you, because I've read 2 books of hers in the month of June, and I probably will read more. I don't even know how many more books she has out, but I am definitely going to be looking for any new books she has out. So this is a ballerino romance. It's an enemies to lovers. In this we follow Felix and Nico. So Felix is like the top ballerino at like, I think like the London like ballerina, like I don't know, dance company, ballerina dance company. I don't know. Are those the proper terms? I guess like I think this is probably be better classified as a rivals to lovers. So like I said, Felix is like the top ballerino at like the top company in the world, which is in London. He is very out and proud and very much like lives his life authentically himself. And you know, like he's just like at the top of his career, and like one day waltzes in Nico, who is like his like career rival. Like they've kind of been like pitted against each other, or like compared, you know, there's like a rivalry between them, as being like who's the top. Nico hasn't been dancing for a little bit, and now he's like making his comeback. He hasn't been dancing because like his like mentor passed away, and like he took some time off, so he's coming back, and he is also going to be dancing at the London, company. Nico, like I said, these guys just don't really like each other. Nico thinks Felix is just like really arrogant and full of himself, and I think he is obviously pretty jealous of him because he lives his life authentically, whereas Nico is living his life like in the closet, and he has a lot of like demons in his closet that he's trying to deal with, and yeah, I don't know, I just really loved this book. I loved how their relationship plays out. They both have their own like personal struggles that we get to see them come to terms with, and come to terms with their chemistry between each other, and their feelings for each other. Yeah, I really liked this. I think, did I say? Yeah, I gave it 5 stars. This is actually, you know what, I'll skip ahead because I did read a book in between, but this is actually part of a duo. I guess like it's technically a duology. It's called the Famous Young Things, and this was actually book 2, and I didn't really know, like, I don't think I really realized that when I was reading it, but I really don't think it matters. This is definitely like a romance series, if you will, that like you can read one book, you can read both books, you do not need to read them in a certain order. I think I technically, like I said, I read book 2, then I read book 1. The couple from book 1 is mentioned one time in Limerence, but it's very just like nobody knows them. They're not like friends with anyone in that book. It was like very much just like just this like a quick mention because the other book in the series, which is technically the first book, is Hamartia, and this is about a rock star, a K-pop star. So like basically they're just mentioned in Limerence as like, oh hey, did you hear that rock star came out or as gay or whatever. That's just like how it's connected. So it's not really like something you need to like, you can read them out of order or only read one. I recommend reading both because this is also a 5-star read for me. Look, I actually bought the book. I do want to buy Limerence too. Like, I like these books enough where I want them on my shelves. I'm just waiting for I was trying to decide what cover I wanted of Limerence. I got the special edition cover of Hamartia because I love this this art on this cover. It's way, if you look up the like normal cover, this is way better. So Hamartia I also gave 5 stars. In this book we follow Raphael and Jay. I'm not going to butcher his name. I'm gonna call him Jay, okay? Okay, so Raphael is a rock star, and like he's in like kind of an up and coming like band, like, so like I believe I think the book starts like kind of 2 years prior to when the rest of the book takes place. And it's like he's at a show, and Jay and his K-pop group just is also at the show, right? And Raphael is like in the bathroom with like his bandmates, and they're kind of like trash talking these K-pop stars, and like basically talking about like their sexuality and stuff like that. And they don't realize Jay is in there, and then he like comes out, and they kind of like are like, oh gosh, did he understand us? Like, did he hear what we said? But like Raphael just like has like this instant like connection to Jay. I mean, I don't know, and like he like doesn't even understand it because he, as far as he knows, he's straight, and like he's just like automatically drawn to him, and basically spends 2 years like fantasizing and like obsessing about him in private, while having like his longtime girlfriend. Like he just kind of chalks up to like just this, like, he never really thinks anything's gonna come of it or anything, right? Like he just like, it's just like his like little secret, right, that he's like secretly obsessed with him. But like as like the year, like I said, so like that like encounter is kind of like I think 2 years prior, and then like so both of their careers like kind of take off, so they like kind of like keep coming, like encountering each other at different like events and stuff, and so like Raphael's just obsession kind of gets worse and worse. He kind of is like in that mentality, like he's like always thinking about like what it would be like to be with him and stuff like that. And like he kind of has that mentality, like, oh, he just do it this, if he could just have it like one time and just like get out of his system kind of thing. In the meantime, he's like engaged and supposed to be like planning a wedding. There's all these like big things happening in his life, but like he just can't like get over this like obsession he has with Jay. This technically is a dual point of POV book, but it's most of the story is told through Raphael. You get a few Jay chapters throughout the book, but not a whole lot more towards the end. I don't know. I just ate these books up. Both of her books, I just ate them up. I just thought they were just really good. Just the love stories I think are very like meaningful and sweet, and you know, and this one you got like kind of a touch of a forbidden of romance for both of them on both sides, because you know they have to worry about their careers, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I loved them. I highly recommend Scarlett Drake's writing. I think she's a really good. I don't know. I thought her books are really well written. Like I think they're, like I said, I think they're sweet. I think that they, you know, she tackles more than just like surface level romance. Her characters are, you know, complex and well rounded, and yeah, I don't know. Highly recommend Scarlett Drake's books. Am I doing a good job about being quicker about talking about these? I'm not too sure if I am. I might not be. I don't know. Okay. I only have 2 more books here, but I think I also read more on Kindle, so I don't know. The next book, well, technically the book I read in between those 2 was Firebird by Juliet Cross. This is going to be a romantasy, very much like set in like a Roman setting. Obviously it's fantasy though, so it's like, you know, not the real Rome. But we follow Julian and Melina are our 2 main characters. Julian is like the nephew of the emperor, and he's like, so there's like a race, there's like a hierarchy of dragon shifters in this series, and like Julian is like the top. He's a red dragon, which I think is like the top dragons. This like book starts like in a little bit in the past, and Julian sees, so Melina is part of a, like, she's not like part of like the Roman, like the elite, you know what I mean? And she's a dancer, and Julian sees her dance. He sees her dance and he's very like intrigued by her and stuff like that. And then it kind of just like she knows like, oh, he's a Roman soldier, like he's dangerous, especially because he's like a higher up Roman soldier, a general, like, you know, stay away from him, like, and they like, yeah, so they have this, like, they have like a little meeting in the, like, the first chapter, like a you know, and then like it cuts to like years later. I'm trying to figure out how to talk about this without really any spoilers, because like I hate giving out spoilers for like romancy books. Just so like they come in, encounter each other again later after that first encounter, and basically she ends up as a slave. Okay, Melina has like, okay, so like that's like kind of the story set up. Melina, what we know about Melina is that she has some sort of like she has magic, and she is basically fighting, you know, for what's right. That's why he finds her with this group of people that, you know, they're conquering. She's trying to do what she can to help, you know, the oppressed people in her land. I think that's all I really want to say about it. I don't really want to say a whole lot, because like I said, I don't want to spoil anything. I liked this book. I gave it 3 stars, so it's not like it's, you know, it's nothing that I'm like raving about or anything like that. It is going to be, I think, a trilogy. I do plan on continuing it. I think I've been talking a little bit lately more, because like when I talked about reading Shield of Sparrows last month, like romantasy books, They struggle sometimes to surprise me. I think that's why this one wasn't like anything like I'm going to be like raving about, because I do feel like I pretty much called everything that happened in this book. Like nothing was very surprising to me, nothing was shocking to me. It kind of lacks some, maybe some tension. It's like, I think it's kind of marketed as an enemies to lovers. I mean, like, yes, technically they are enemies, but I don't know. There's not enough enemies, not enough enemy part, you know? I don't know. I know I've talked about this before. So I feel like enemies to lovers nowadays is just kind of thrown around very loosely. For me, I want an enemies to, if you're marketing, for me, marketing something as enemies to lovers, I want tension. I want it to be drawn out a bit. I don't want it to be like one chapter. And I'm not saying this one was one chapter. To be honest, I don't really remember, but I do know that it wasn't like very long. I don't want one chapter of enemies and then they're in love. That to me is not enemies to lovers. That to me is also just kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say lazy writing, but just like, I don't know. Come on, we like the tension. Give me the tension. I need the tension, okay? For me personally, for it to be like a 5-star read, I need some tension there, okay? But yeah, I think it's an enjoyable. I think it's fine. It's a good read. I think some people might love this book. I know it has a lot of some people might hate it more than I did. I thought it was just fine. I was entertained. I can't say that I was bored by it or anything like that. So I was entertained. And like I said, I will continue the series. And I don't know, maybe we'll get better. The next book I read, we went back to some sports romances, and we went back to specifically queer sports romances. The next book I read was Good Pucking Luck by Riley Hart. This is a hockey romance. Why is my lighting being weird? I don't know. I guess we're just gonna have to deal with weird lighting all of a sudden. I honestly can't even remember the names of the characters in this book. Let me look. Okay, apparently the characters' names are Hayes and Ryland. This book was just fine. I gave it 3 stars. It's very just fluff, in my opinion. And, you know, sometimes I enjoy a fluffy romance book, every now and again. But I think I tend to like my romance with a little bit more substance. You know, at least like a lot of the time. Like I said, every now and again I can read a fluffy romance and, you know, it's fun. And that's what I would say this one is. It's like about like, hey, so from what I do remember this book. I'm not gonna, I do remember it. I'm just like names and stuff like that. Like what, that's like the first thing to go. Unless like a character, unless I fall in love with a character, I'm gonna forget the names of characters in books first. That's the first knowledge that leaves my head. Anyways, Hayes, like, it starts like Hayes is like proposing to his boyfriend at like this hockey game because his boyfriend loves hockey. He's there with his boyfriend, and his boyfriend freaks out because he's like, you know, proposing him to like a very like public thing, and they're like on the Jumbotron and they're like on the cameras and stuff. And he humiliates Hayes and he says no, and then come to find out with all the like coverage of the failed proposal that his boyfriend is actually like just catfishing, like, well, I don't know if catfishing is the right word, but he's like in a relationship with a ton of guys, like a bunch of guys, some online, some in person. Like he's just like this huge like player, I guess, whatever. So like Hayes, like they start to be known, like this group of guys, it starts to be known as like the Jilted Ex Club. This is one of the things that kind of annoyed me about this book, because I felt like Hayes was like so caught up on this, like throughout the book. Like he starts dating Ryland, who is a hockey player on the team, right? That of the team that he like was at their game when he proposed. And like, I don't know, I just feel like he's so caught up in like the like people finding out that that's him. And I'm just kind of thinking in my head, like, I think most people just, I mean, like, I know like little, like, I know that happens, like things go viral and then people are known for them, but I think ultimately, like, it blows over pretty quick. I don't know. I just felt it was a little over dramatic, I guess, those things. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like a very, like I said, it's just a very fluffy romance between the two guys. It was cute at times, but like I said, just basically just a mediocre book. Like, it's just one of those, you know, just, it's fine. 3 stars to me. It's just like, it's a fine book. It's not bad. It wasn't like, it was horribly written. It wasn't like great either, but it's just kind of like middle of the road. It was fine. And I kind of felt the way about the next book I read, which is The History Between Us. This is by Ashley James. This is a cowboy, male cowboy romance. I actually read, this is a 4-book series, and I don't know if there's more actually after this or not. I didn't look. I read, or 5? I don't know. I read I think 3. I think I read 3 of this series last year. They're all male cowboy romances. And then like, I never finished it and read this one because it's an age gap, again with the age gap. And it's like, I think it's like, not only is it an age gap, but it's a dad's best friend romance. And I don't know. So it's a large age gap. I don't know. Just not my favorite, not my thing usually. So it's like, I didn't read it for a long time, but I don't know. I was just like in the mood, like just kind of like looking through Kindle KU, and I was like, oh yeah, I've never finished this. I'm just gonna finish it. I also gave this one 3 stars. It was fine. Let's look up character names because again, I completely forgot their names. So this one we follow William and Colt. Colt is a bull rider, and William is Colt's dad's best friend, like I said. He's also like the town doctor. This is like, you know, small town. Colt was like recently injured in bull riding, so he's like out for the, you know, this like bull riding season and healing and stuff like that. He like messed up, I think, his like shoulder or something. I don't remember. And Colt's kind of like always had a thing for William, his dad's best friend. I think it's like a few years before the book. I don't know if it's, I forget how many years before like the book, they like just happened to like come across each other in a bar, like somewhere, like I think it's like, it's far away from where they're from, I think, I forget, and they hook up, and they kind of just like think it's like it's just this like one-time thing, you know, and it's done. William doesn't live back where this takes place anymore. I forget where it takes place. So like they just never see each other anymore, but like William tends to actually moves back home to his hometown to take care of his aging father. So then like they're thrown into each other's orbit again, and you know that like chemistry and sexual tension is still there, and you know it ensues from there. Like I said, again, just it's fine, a good, you know, quick read, not bad, not great, like, you know, not my favorite or anything like that, but it wasn't bad. Oh, apparently there's one more book in this series. This is called the Copper Lake series. Again, I read most of them last year. I liked some better than others. They were all, I think I gave some 4 stars too. But yeah, it's a good book. It's a decent, I don't know what words to use for 3-star books. Good is fine. Like, they're fine. I think fine. Fine is the word. It's a fine book. It was, you know, it's not something I'm going to say is a favorite or like I'm going to read again or anything like that, but it's fine. That's the thing. Like a lot of these books, like these are like KU book finds for me. Like the last 2 books I was talking about, Good Pucking Luck and The History Between Us, you know, so they're KU, quick download. They're quick reads. I usually read them in a day or like probably a couple days. You know, they're good enough for me to keep reading because you know, the thing, I know I say DNFing is hard for me, but I will say, like, sometimes I DNF books. I don't even consider it DNFing because I barely even start them. Like, sometimes I'll download a KU book and I'll read, like, the first chapter, and I could just tell, like, probably from that if, like, the writing style is something that I will like. And, if it's just, like, I could tell, like, the writing's just, like, too, like, amateur-y or whatever for me, I just don't even continue past the first chapter. So these obviously are, you know, these books I finished, they passed that test. So it's not like the writing is like atrocious or anything like that. And I don't know. Like I did enjoy. I think I really did kind of enjoy Colt as a character in this book. I don't know. The characters were fine. I think it's just more the hang up on the Ted's best friend thing for me. So it's like I think it's a personal thing for me. A personal issue for me. And like I don't like to like judge books on things that I know I have a hang up on. Oh my god, my lighting just finally fixed because a car drove by. Well, thank you, car. I'm back to being normally lit. Anyway, okay, let's move on. I have 3 more books, okay? Am I doing well? I don't know. I'm already an hour here, but I know a lot of that was dead air of me like reading stuff. I don't know. I'm trying to be quick. I read First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I gave this book 4 stars, and I really liked this book. I haven't done a ton of B.K. Borison praise. I have read 2 of her other books. She has the Love Light Farms series that I have talked about here on the channel before, because I read the first 2 books and I soft DNF'd the 3rd one. That's why I just like I I'm not like a super fan of B.K. Borison, because I do think her books, I hate saying it because I just feels like it's like they're a little like slow for me. And that is why I soft DNF'd. Mixed Signals, I think, is the one I soft DNF'd. I do want to finish it because I do want to finish that series. There's that one and one other book, Business Casual, which I think most people say is the best book of that series. So I do want to read that one, but I just feel like I have to, I don't know, I'll push through at one point and finish the 3rd book. But First Time Caller was really great. I really liked this book a lot, actually. It's definitely my favorite book by her so far, and it's given me hope for future books for her. I know she has a Christmas book coming out this year that I do plan on reading, called Good Spirit, I believe. I'm excited about that. Liking this book made me more excited for her future books, because I did enjoy this one so much better than the other 2 books I've read from her. I've never seen Sleepless in Seattle, but I know people say this book gives that vibe. You have Aiden and Lucy. So Aiden is like a late night radio show host. He has like a love show, but it's like a romance hotline kind of show. And Aiden's kind of like a grumpy character. He is kind of like fallen out of love with love, I guess. He's like very like jaded from the show and dealing with like callers that just, he feels like, I don't know, complain about such like trivial things all the time. So I don't know, to him, I think like romance is dead to him at this point. And he gets a call one night from Lucy's daughter, actually. So Lucy's daughter calls in the show to talk about her mom, because she feels like her mom needs to date. I think her daughter's like 12 or something like that. And she just like wants to see her mom happy. So like Lucy catches her on the phone with him. So then Lucy gets on the phone with Aiden White on the radio show. And so like the whole interview, like she just, while she's on there, she just kind of like is very like honest and open about like what she's looking for, and the whole interview kind of goes viral, which leads to the station like asking her to come on like and doing like segments like regularly, which obviously gets her and Aiden in contact more and more often, because they start like working together on this radio show. I don't know, I thought this book was so sweet. I really liked the characters. I really liked both Aiden and Lucy. I liked the side characters, because you have Aiden's best friend, which I forget his name, because there is a second book going to be coming out of this next year, and Aiden's best friend is actually going to be like the main male character in that. Again, names, please don't ask me. And then you have Lucy's ex, who is her daughter's dad. who like lives next door with his husband. You have them, and then like Lucy's friend, who owns a coffee shop. I don't know. There's just a cute little group of people. Lucy is a mechanic, and you also have like the other guys that work at the place she works at. I don't know, just a lot of cute like interactions between side characters as well in this book, and I always love that. I always love like a group of people in a book when it's not just like two people. It's not like a romance book where it's just not all focused on the relationship between the like male or the two leads. Like when there's like other relationships involved, I always love that. I think it feels more like believable and more relatable. But yeah, I just really, I really enjoyed this. It was like, a little bit of a surprise, I think, because I haven't, her books to me have been a little bit of a struggle lately. Reading this one, I was very pleasantly surprised. I highly recommend this one. So try it, go read it. The next book I read is because it was my book club's book pick. It's not my favorite genre. We read a thriller. I don't even know. And to be honest, like this book, I don't know. I know it's technically categorized as a thriller, but I don't know. It was not very thrillery to me. But we read The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I gave this book 2 stars. I listened to this book. I know I've talked about this before. I don't do a whole lot of audiobooks, but thrillers I think are actually really good as audiobooks. So that is how I tend to choose to consume those, because they're not usually my go-to. And a lot of times when I am reading them, it's because it's either my book club, or sometimes my friends will like bully me into buddy reading one with them. And so I tend to just pick to do it audio, because then I can like listen to it during the day while I work, and I can still be reading something that's more up my alley at night. So I will give that disclaimer, like thrillers are not my favorite. They're not really for me. I think that I can enjoy one every now and again. The Housemaid was not that for me. I have read one other Frida McFadden book. I read The Boyfriend last year, and I did like that one. So I will say that it's not that I just hate thrillers. I'm not just a thriller hater. But there was just, this book was just not for me. I don't like I don't like being super negative. So, but I feel like it was borderline problematic in a lot of ways. And I just think that there was no likable characters, and I think that's kind of common in thrillers, because like that's not really the point of a thriller, right? And I think why thrillers aren't my thing is because what I enjoy the most about reading is connecting to characters, and just like reading about, like, it's more character development. I love stories with more character development, be it romance, contemporary romance, or romantasy or fantasy or whatever. I love really strong character driven stories, and that's not the point of a thriller, right? The point of a thriller is the plot, like the twist and getting to that. So like I just don't think you get like a lot of like really enjoyable characters. And I'm not saying like all characters have to be, I love a morally great character, okay? It has nothing to do with like morals. I just think that, or like, I also don't need to like love every character in every book, but I just feel like if you have a whole book with just people like that are just like completely unlikable, one character like changes my mind a little bit at one point, but yeah, it's just like, why do I care? Because it's like, ultimately, if I don't care about the characters at all, then why do I care what happens to them? You know what I mean? Like, obviously you can look, there's a human level, right? You don't want anyone, like, you don't want bad things to happen to good people, like, not even good people, but like, you don't want bad things to happen to people, right? Like, so like on a human level, I guess you could get some connection just like on a base level, but like, for me to be invested in a story and want a certain outcome, right? Want to be rooting for a certain outcome, I need to like the characters at least somewhat, right? Even if they are flawed, they can be flawed, but like I have to at least like them to some extent. And I just think this character, and I also just like didn't think, like I said earlier, like it's classified as a thriller, but like, was it? Is it a thriller? I don't know. I haven't even talked about it. So we follow Millie, who is I don't know. Do I even want to talk about this book? I'm obviously not recommending it, but the book follows Millie, and she's like becomes like a maid at the house for this like rich couple, Nina and Andrew, and like Millie has like a past, and she really needs this job. She's struggling, you know, financially and stuff like that. So she you know, takes this job. It's like almost too good to be true. And as we all know, things that are good, that if something is too good to be true, it usually is too good to be true. She starts working there. Nina starts treating her really, really poorly. And, you know, obviously there's like some sort of, you know, twist. You know, I don't know. I think that's all I really want to say. Like, if you like a thriller, maybe you'll enjoy this. Like I said, I read it with my book club. We haven't met yet. We're actually meeting tomorrow, but I've talked to a lot of people. I think some people did like this. They thought it was fun. Like, I don't think anyone loved this book in my book club, but I think some people liked it. They definitely liked it better than me. Yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't for me. I'll just say that right now. It just wasn't for me. I have very specific things I didn't like about it, but I won't get into that because, like I said, I don't want to do spoilers. But yeah, overall, not for me. The last book I read in June was For the Fans by Kay Nyla. I think that is how you say their name. So in this book, we follow Avi and Kyron. This is a dark male stepbrother romance. It is very popular on, or it was. I mean, I think it's been out for a while, so I don't think people are talking about it as much. Oh, I guess I should say what I gave this. I gave this book 3 stars. But it was like all over social media at one point. I almost read it multiple times, but then I saw it was stepbrother romance, and I was just like, eh. But you know, I think I've gotten past that hang up. Because I've read, I think, 3 stepbrother romances. I don't know, maybe more. I don't even know. I think I'm past that hang up at this point. But yeah, this follows, like I said, the 2 stepbrothers. Kyron is like, his family is rich, and Avi comes from like more humble background. His mom meets Kyron's dad. They get married. So they move in together. They all move in together. And I think it kind of starts around when they're like in high school, 17-ish, 16-ish. I think the book starts like you get like a little tidbits here and there as they grow up, and then they're in college, right? The bulk of the book happens when they're in college. They both go to the same college. I think they're like they're in like their sophomore year, and Kyron's dad breaks it to him like his business is going under. They don't have the money to pay for their college anymore, so like basically like they got to figure out how they're going to pay for their college. And to pay for college, they start an OnlyFans and do content together. And it's very much like a hate, like, and I hate seeing enemies to lovers sometimes, because it's not like it's just like hate to love basically, and relationship. I think this book is too long. That's one thing. It's a big book. I think it's like 500 pages or something like that, or close to it. So I do think it is a bit too long for what it is about. I didn't hate all of it. I didn't hate any of it, actually. That's a weird, I didn't mean to say that. I don't think I meant to say that. I think there were parts I liked more than others. I guess that's probably a better way of saying it. Their relationship is I don't know. It was just fine. Again, just like another book that was just fine. Like, again, but like I said, it is really long. So it's a commitment, I feel like, kind of, to read. When contemporary romance books start to get like over 400 pages, it's a little like, maybe you could, I mean, obviously depending, like maybe there are some things, I mean, and I've read them and I'm gonna read one of them. I mean, like, I have them. Okay. I've read longer, contemporary romances, but usually there's like other things going on in those. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. They're very much like opposites. I know there's people out there that really, really love this book. And I could see it. I guess I can see it. For me, I just thought it was like, okay. I think I've read a lot better. And like I said, again, sometimes the writing was a little, to me, like a little cringe, I guess. So I think those are the things that kind of like brought down the rating for me personally. But yeah, it's just fine. So like overall, June was kind of an up and down month. There were some very high highs, like new favorite series, right? With the Game Changer, the Scarlet Drake books, I really, really loved. And then there was just like some, mediocre. And then we got a low with Housemaid. I rarely rate things under 3 stars. And one other tidbit with the house, I rarely rate things less than 3 stars because I feel like things that I will rate less than 3 stars are things that I'll DNF. And I will say, if The Housemaid was not my book club's book choice, I would have probably DNF'd that book. Especially there's exact point in the book where I guarantee you I probably would have. If I didn't DNF, I would have been very, very tempted to DNF. Something happens and I was just like, I don't want. But that is also probably why I don't tend to rate a lot of books lower than 3 stars, because I think I just DNF them before. And then I don't rate books I DNF because I don't feel like it's fair, because it's fair because I haven't finished it. Anyways, that's a little tangent. That's it. I got through all those books. Was I short and sweet like I wanted to be? I don't think so, because currently right now I'm at 1 hour 22 minutes. I know some of that is a lot of like some dead air moments where I was like reading little refreshers. But yeah, I don't think I was as short and sweet as I wanted to be, but here we are. I got through it. And that's the best I can do. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you read in June. I know we're so far removed from that, but what were like your favorite reads in June? Have you read any of these? Do you agree with me? Are you gonna read any of these now that I've told you about them? Just give me all the details in the comments. But I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, I would love it if you liked, commented, and subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video.